Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we will be continuing with our lecture number 7 of macroeconomics, coming out with the very next topic after we have discussed with the banking is what actually are commercial banks, how do commercial banks work, what credit creations are done with the help of commercial bank, how do they control money supply, how do they work with the economy. So all these things we'll be understanding in today's lecture, and we'll be done with our macroeconomics unit number 2. So starting off with what actually commercial banks are. Commercial banks are basically, we can say, all those banks like ICICI, SBI, and all those that involve or help a general public to deposit up with their money, and those who help with RBI to resolve the monetary problem or regulate currencies in the economy, or we can say that they perform all the actions which helps us like deposit, withdrawal, currency supply, each and everything. So commercial banks is an institution, we can say, which performs the functions like accepting deposits, guaranteeing loans, making investments with the aim of earning profit. Remember the main word, earning profit. So commercial banks, the very first and main point you will have to write is their aim is to earn profit. You will have to remember this main point, that nothing else, their main aim is to earn profit. For this they always perform many functions like deposit of currencies, granting loans, and also they make investments, right? So now coming on to their functions, what actually are their functions? Again, we can say that their functions are again distributed in two types. First is primary and second is secondary. Now, what functions are involved in primary functions and what functions are involved in secondary functions? First, the main, again we will be doing the primary functions are those functions which are main functions, that we said they are the main functions of any of the banking institution. So the very first and main function is to accept deposits. So it is the main function of any bank. And also whenever they accept deposits, another main function becomes granting loan. So advancing loans becomes second main concept, or we can say second main function of commercial banks. Then coming up with secondary functions. What are its secondary functions? First of all, overdraft facility. Now, what actually is overdrafting facility? See, whenever your parents are doing some business or anything, they involve day-to-day transactions, right? So they cannot maintain that in savings account. For that, they require current account, right? And current account has a facility of overdrafting. What actually it is, whenever I am saying that I am, for example, I am only doing a business and I am having a current account, and today I have to make some payment of 50,000, but my account is not having that much of, amount in my account. So this is the facility provided to businessmen who are having current account, that you can have 50,000 overdraft for the day. You can pay it in a day or two. Whenever you are having money in your account, they'll automatically cut the balance. But one problem with this is that this guarantee is done on the basis of bankers. There is no guarantee that you will have to pay some collateral or anything. No, you will not have to pay anything for that, but it's on purely guarantee of bank managers. So if you are not paying, then you cannot have anyone's trust on you forever. All right, so be careful with this facility. Is whenever we get some facility, we have some responsibilities attached to that, right? So next, coming on to discounting bill of exchange. Counting bill of exchange. Now, what actually is bill of exchange? Whenever you must have studied in your accounts, whenever you need, you buy some bills or you get issued some bills on priority basis, like you are get you will have to pay some amount in future, but you are getting a bill made today on today's name. So that is a official paper in which it's written that okay, I'll pay you this much amount at current rates in some period after, and the date is also mentioned there. Okay, but what you can do is you can get your bill discounted. For example, you require money today and you will, like, that piece of paper is waste for you because you are not having cash in hand, right? So if you are what you will do is you will go to bank and say to bank, okay, I want some money in exchange of this. So bank will keep that bill and pay you money written in that bill. But what will they do when the due date comes? Bank will go to the person and ask for the money, that okay, this was the bill that you had made on this person, and now you have to pay. The due date is there. You will have to pay the amount, right? If the person is not able to pay that amount, then the person who has got it discounted will have to pay bank the full amount back, right? So that becomes a problem there. Third is agency functions. So that is a list of functions like transferring of funds, collection and payment of various items, purchase and sale of foreign exchange, purchase sale of securities, income tax consultancies, and many others. So there are a list of things that we have in our agency functions. So we'll just note down agency function, and first we'll discuss this and then we'll come on to agency function. As I have explained you with these two topics, I'm just writing down with the last point, that is general unitary function, utility function. Okay, so first we will be doing with the primary function. These two I have explained although, but I'll be doing it again once I do with this. Now, concept of deposit. What does this mean? Whenever we are talking in terms of commercial bank, okay, I as a student, if I want to make some savings out of my pocket money, then what I'll do is I'll go up with the bank and say that okay, if I'm under 18, I want to open up with the bank and I want to save up with the money. So bank will not neglect. They'll say yes, you can save, but you are under 18, so you will not get a withdrawal facility. You can only deposit money, right? So they accept with my deposit request. Now what I can do is I can deposit money with my regular pocket money, whatsoever I want to save, like 100 rupees, 1000 rupees, 500 rupees, any amount. Deposit limit is not there, but there is a limit of withdrawal, and that too in saving regular accounts. Whenever you turn above 18, you will have to show up with your PAN card, and then you can turn up with savings regular account. Under 18, you do not have that facility of withdrawal of money. You can just deposit money, and that too does not have any limit that okay you can only deposit once or twice in a month. No, you can deposit n number of times in a month. Then next function comes is advancing loans. Now banks also provide you with the loans. Okay, there is a one important difference in loans and accepting of deposits. The interest you receive on deposits is less that you have to pay on loans. Why? Because banks always earn profit with the help of loans only. That is why whenever you must be seeing that banks are always calling that okay we are providing free credit card, please take up with the credit card, or we are providing free loans, 0% loans are there, please take up with the loans. Why they are doing so? Because it is a very good opportunity for them to earn profit. This is a very good and the best way of earning profit with the banks. So that's why what the bank does is bank does not initiate any of the loan from their pocket. No, they always initiate loan from our own pockets only. Whatsoever you are saving in your bank, they collect. All these are financial transactions. You can see up in your account that okay I have that much money. For example, if I'm saving 10,000 rupees in so many years, and then I can see that okay I have 10,000 rupees in my account, but what is the proof? Whenever I'm going, I will have to write a check and then withdraw money, because since it's a very small amount actually 10,000, but I will not have to write any of the letter to the manager. I want 1 lakh rupees. Then I will have to write a letter to manager that on this particular date I will be coming, and please make sure that bank is available with the money. Why? Because 1 lakh money is not available at current time in the banks. So you have to make a request and they arrange the money. They all have to deposit up their money with the RBI. Each and every bank is having their lockers and accounts in RBI. So they have to deposit all their money on daily basis in RBI account. So when you are requesting, they withdraw that amount from there and pay you in cash. But you can always see up there ki, okay this is my account, it is having 1 lakh rupees, and you what they does is they withdraw this, or they give loans to people and they open up with the accounts. They never ever a bank pay you in cash. What they does is whenever you want a loan also, they'll open up a loan account for you, and therein they will be transferring the money. So you can withdraw with the bank account that okay 1 lakh rupee you can withdraw anytime from the that card, which is loan card or anything, by check or anything you can withdraw the amount. So that is never a problem. This always helps them to maintain transactions, as well as they provide them with the interest also. Okay, now coming on to our agency functions. We have talked about agency functions, that they transfer of funds, collection of payments, purchase and sale of foreign exchange. So all these things are also performed by banks. Then general utility function, that is they provide us with a locker facility, travel checks, letter of credits, underwriting of securities, and collection of statistics. That is they always maintain a data record that how much amount has been there in the economy since they were working. So all these things are being maintained by the people of banks only. Then how does bank help in money creation? So this is our main topic. How does bank helps in creation of money? Okay, so money creation is very important concept, and this is just not the concept by commercial bank. It is also with the help of RBI. There are a few things that RBI maintain, or we can say that records RBI maintain. First is the reserve ratios. Okay, so coming on with the reserve ratios, our very first reserve ratio, that is we can say currency or cash reserves. So bank always maintain a cash reserve with them. That's what I said you just now, that if I want 1 lakh rupees, I will have to write a letter. Why? Because on daily basis they have to maintain some ratio with them that is not up to 1 lakh rupees. And if they're having also 1 lakh rupees, then they cannot just give it to the one person. They are keeping it to for many persons. If I say that okay, one person is there, another comes, third person comes, fourth comes, they can always give them some part. They cannot give all the money to one person, right? That's why they say that if you want to have money, even 50,000 is a large amount. If you want to withdraw 50,000 also, you will have to write a letter. Okay, because at a particular period of time, bank does not allow to give that much amount to a single person unless it is a very large branch wherein they have a large number of customers dealing. So you can withdraw 50,000 just by self check, but you cannot, there also you cannot withdraw 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so and now coming on to money creation, how does this help in money creation? Money creation is a concept of money multiplier. So how does this help in? Okay, what does the bank does is, for example, if I have deposit 1,000 rupees in bank, what will bank do? Bank will give a loan. For example, bank give 800 rupees loan to another person on some particular rate of interest. For example, if I say that they have to maintain a reserve also, so 200 rupees is the part of reserve. Okay, so this amount they have given it for the loan, right? So what they does is, next step, they will not give money in cash, they will open up account. Okay, so the person will have 800 rupees. Now again he'll be depositing in bank. They, what they does is, now the again bank is having with 100 rupees. What after uh, keeping up with that percentage of liquidity ratio, for example, here it is 20%. So again, if it's keeping 20% of 800, then it will be 160 rupees, right? So 160 rupees they are keeping it as a reserve. So what they'll do is, they can again give a loan. Now what amount of loan they'll be giving? After subtracting 160 rupees from 800, they can give 640 rupees as loan. And this process continues. And finally what we see is, the reserve ratio is total of 1000 rupees at the end. The deposit, total deposits are of 5000 rupees, and loan amount turns out to be 4,000 rupees. So you will see this, that bank with just a deposit of 1000 rupees can create a lot of money. That is, you can see that deposits are of 5000 rupees, again and again the same deposits are going on, and they have provided a loan of 4000 rupees out of that, and they have also maintained a reserve of 1000 rupees. So this is a purely multiplier concept. And how we can calculate it? Money multiplier is equal to 1 upon liquidity reserve ratio. Okay, for example, if I say that 20% is my liquidity reserve ratio, right? That means 20 upon 100, 1 upon 20 upon 100. So this will be 100 upon 20, right? So this will become out to be 5. That is, money multiplies by 5 times every time, right? So this is how we calculate with money multiplier. This is a very important concept, so you need to get on with this. If you are having any of the doubts, just write down the comments in the comment section, and we'll be repeating up with this section in a different way, and I'll be explaining you with money multiplier with lots of examples again in a different lecture. So if you are having any of the doubts, you can just write down in comment section so that we can have a with another session of this money multiplier. Now coming up with central bank and its function. So what actually is the central bank? Central bank, as we know that our central bank is RBI. What that central bank is, it's a very large body. So we can say that it's an apex body that controls, operates, or regulates direct the entire banking and as well as monetary structure of the country. As we know that RBI does all these functions, so we can relate of how does central bank work, and you can just relate it with the RBI. That RBI okay regulates currencies, also printing of currencies. They do all of that. They maintain up with the liquidity ratios. They regulate with the direct currency values and each and everything. So RBI is our apex body. In India, it is all right. Then coming on to with the functions, um, central bank. RBI is our central bank. Coming on with the functions. Okay, so our central bank has many of important functions. First of all, it's currency authority. So first of all, it's very important as currency authority is a very large responsibility that only the central bank can afford to regulate. Why? Because when if I'm talking in terms of any of the bank, they cannot just simply pursue with printing of currencies. No, they will have to check up with the records, and currency printing is directly influencing our inflation as well as GDP. So only one of our banks, that is a central bank, can have that function authority. Then bankers to the government. Central bank is also having accounts of the government. Government accounts are always operated in that, and whenever government wants loans, anything else, any of the problem government is facing regarding bank, so that is dealt by central bank only. So we can see up with the second point, banker of government. Next, and the very important point, bankers, bank and supervisor also. As we have discussed previously that all the banks have their account in RBI, that is our central bank. Why this is so? Because they have to maintain up a record in all with the GDP and as well as with the inflation rate, each and everything. So that is always there with the central bank. When one bank is having all these things connected, then only we can maintain a record after out of it. Then controller of money supply. Again, it's a very important function that is regulated by central bank. It's not that central bank does not do anything. These functions are the main functions of our economy. This can destroy even a single functions are disowned or are given to some another authority, it can destroy our economy. So we need to be a bit more strong in our economy. So our central bank needs to be stronger. Okay. So controller of money supply. And then finally custodian of foreign exchange reserve. Now, coming on with the first, as we had discussed, currency authority is there with the bank. Bankers of the government, they always regulate government bank accounts also. Bankers bank, that means they always each and every bank or commercial bank is having its account in RBI. In order to maintain each and everything, government needs to maintain a record of all the banks, what deposits are being done by regular customers, public, each and everything, all the records are there with the RBI. Controller of money supply, whenever we in our economy there is excess of money, then bank reduces or increases the reserve ratios so that they can maintain or control with the money supply. So, by custodian of foreign exchange, we mean that RBI also regulates demand and supply of foreign exchange. That is, for example, we say that okay, dollar rates have increased. What increase actually it is, right? So, whenever there is more of demand, less of supply, what actually it is the value and how to control it. So, all those policies are undertaken by RBI only. For example, if I say that this is a box and it is filled with this much of water, then in order to fill this full, I will have to pour more water, right? So that is also going in like foreign exchange only. If my dollar with RBI is this much, and if I'm demanding for dollars, that means my supply is getting decreased by constant levels. But if I'm saying that we are purchasing more dollars, then my reserves will increase automatically. So custodian of foreign exchange means that RBI regulates all the policies that are involved for regulating the policies that increase or decrease demand of foreign exchange at a particular period of time. Yes, of course. Now, after understanding all these 5 points, we need to understand how does RBI control money supply, how it is called the controller of money supply. There are various measures that RBI can control money supply throughout. So we'll do them in detail now. Okay, so our very first measure, or we can just divide them into two categories. First is quantitative method and second one is qualitative method. Quantitative, qualitative. So when I'm talking in terms of quantitative, that means by quantity we can understand it is measured in terms of numbers. So our first of the policies will be bank rate. Second will be open market operations, buying and selling of securities. Third will be legal reserve requirement. Then coming on to qualitative measures, first is margin requirement. Second comes out to be moral caution. Third comes out to be selective credit controls. Now, we'll be discussing first quantitative measures in detail. By bank rate, what do we mean by bank rate? The bank rate is that rate wherein central bank lends money to commercial banks, that rate at which commercial banks are lended money by the central bank. For example, RBI SBI lends money. Suppose SBI wants some loan, for example, 1 crore. Okay, in order to supply their loans in other people, so they have taken a loan of 1 crore rupees, and bank rate is, for example, 10% per annum now. Okay, so when SBI has taken loan for 1 crore rupees at 10%, then what they will do is, in order to gain more profit, they will also give loan at 11% for at further rates, because 1% will be their profit ratio, right? So when bank rate increases, they further increase the bank rate, and in order to earn more of profits, right? So bank rate regulates our money supply. If it increases, then money supply will automatically be decreased in the market, as people will not be willing to take more of loans. But if bank rate decreases, then people will be willing to take more of loans. Even if people, for example, if a person wants is willing to buy a car, okay, and he is currently like, he can afford a 15 lakh car, and if rates are less, then what he'll do is he will purchase a 20 lakh car, because loan rates are low. So in additional, he will have to pay a lesser amount, so he will manage to do with the 20 lakh car, and he'll purchase a good car. Okay, they'll not compromise with their demands. Second, open market operations. These are supply and buys of government securities. So whenever government require more of money, then they sell out their securities, and in order to have more of money from the economy. Why it is said to be as money controller of money supply? This is because whenever government decides to sell out securities, they know that economy is more of liquidity. So in order to reduce liquidity from economy, they supply with the securities in market. People buy that, so they pay some amount of money. That amount of money is received by government, and those securities are issued to people. In such a way, we can say that these people will have less of money now in hand, because they have already purchased the security, right? So they will have less of money in hand, so they will, what they will do now, they will spend less of money, because they are not having that much money in their pockets now, right? So this point comes under controller of money supply. Then by our third point, that is legal reserve requirement. Under this, we have two types of legal like cash reserve ratio, and second is statutory liquidity ratio. So I'll write it here: cash reserve ratio, statutory liquidity ratio. So now, what is cash reserve ratio? Cash reserve ratio is that amount that banks are required to keep at the end with the bank, right? So that if anyone wants money, then they can easily withdraw money with the help of banks, or just can issue some checks and withdraw money from bank. Like, you are going to bank and you want 10,000 rupees. So what do? You withdraw, write down a self check of 10,000 rupees, go to bank and get money withdrawal. Why is that possible? Because of this cash reserve ratio. If banks are required to keep more cash reserve ratio, and if banks are required to keep less cash reserve ratio, that all is decided by RBI. Then is statutory liquidity ratio. That is the minimum percentage of net demand, or we can say time liabilities, which commercial bank require to maintain with themselves. Like, if I say that banks are required to keep a minimum amount in their banks, Okay, at the end of the day, that means at the end of the day, they should be having, for example, if it's 10%, then out of total bank deposits, they should have 10% left, and then rest all is deposited in RBI or is distributed as cash. So what they does is, out of the total or out at each rate, what the bank is holding of that much, bank has to keep a 10% or a 5% or a 2%, any of the percentage in their bank balances. That is all in statutory liquidity ratio. Now, coming on to qualitative requirements, that is, first one is margin requirement. What do we mean by margin requirement? Margin is the difference, as we know that marginal margin that we have so far studied in micro. Marginal requirement means that whenever the difference between amount of loan and the market value, so what does bank does is, when securities are offered against those borrowings, right? So that is a qualitative measure. Second, moral caution. Moral caution is a combination of precaution and pressure that central bank applies on other banks. That is, bank always creates a pressure on the banks that you have to take your back loans, you have to clear your debts, you have to do this, you have to create this much of profit, you have to do that. So that is a pressure that is created by RBI on banks. So that's why we are taking it in qualitative measure, because here is, we are not involving any money, but you are involving some quality into your controlling of money supply. So moral social. Then selective credit control. By selective credit control, we mean that some priorities are given to some sections like agriculture, export, industry, and such. So whenever these priorities are given, they are given less of percentage on loans, like they have to pay less percentage on interest on when they are taking up loans, or they have to pay nothing on loans. So all these things are under qualitative measures, and all these things come under controller of money supply. So with this, we end up with the topic, or we have completed with our money and banking unit. So if you are having any of the doubts related to our lectures, do write in comment section so that we can clear your doubts, and then we'll definitely be taking up a doubt session, and we'll be coming up with a live class. So don't worry at all, or else if it's not possible, then you just write down your doubts in your comment section. We'll bring up a lecture wherein we'll be discussing all these things. Okay guys, stay tuned for the next lecture video.